Dear sisters and brothers, good day to you. Today we are celebrating the 27th Sunday of Ordinary Time. And the theme of our meditation is No Salvation from the book of Habakkuk. We read, I cry violence. You do not save. Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 2. This statement of the prophet raises some questions. Is God just? Where will salvation come from? Has He abandoned us, His people? If evil seems to triumph, then the question arises, does God even exist? But the silence of God creates the condition for the rise of His word. The book of Habakkuk is similar to the one of Job, a lamentation, a continuation of the tradition of Jeremiah and the Psalms. First point, prayer as a cry. The book of the prophet Habakkuk begins with a question that expresses his distress. In verse 2, his call for help from God is unanswered, as if God were deaf or silent. In the framework of the Psalms, that are basically a cry, a lament that sometimes turns into thanksgiving, the book of Habakkuk is full of distress and praise. It is a dialogue with God with regard to a third person, they, the people, the wicked ones, the oppressors, who are the main reason why the faithful is referring to God, to whom he says, why do you let me see evil? O Lord, do you accept the sight of oppression? Verse 3. The context of these questions is that Israel at that time was about to fall into the hands of its enemies, the Chaldeans. And this cry of the prophet expresses the cry of all his people, of whole Israel. In the same way, today we have the cry of the African man, the cry of so many women, crying the despair, crying the oppression, the cry of the poor, victims of wars, the cry of the groaning creation, because the creation is also suffering of the wickedness of humankind. The prophet Habakkuk is both a challenger and a champion. Challenger of God, because he asks questions to God, and yet he's a servant of God, trying with zeal to serve him day by day. The second point, no salvation. In fact, the prophet says to the Lord, you do not save. This word of negation is terrible because it evokes four representations of God, four representations that are not good, that are appalling. First, God will be wicked and violent because He does not react to the sufferings of His friends, because He allows the wicked ones to prosper. Second, God will be inactive, lazy, or dormant because he does not intervene in human affairs, then God would not even exist. In fact, the question of the silence of God raises the question about his own existence. And this is one of the reasons why some people turn to atheism. Third point is the denial of this representation. In fact, Habakkuk will have a vision that will be an antithesis of what has been said previously. I quote, "The just shall live by faith." Chapter 2, verse 4. We then move from embarrassment and doubt to faith. And faith allows us to see our story from God's perspective. Faith gives us the power to see our lives in the perspective of God's promise. It allows us to move even the biggest tree, the biggest obstacle on our way. Faith also transfigures our reality and our world. It frees us from anguish, anxiety resulting from violence and from the invasion of evil. Faith is like a star in our night, a star that guides us, that leads us on the path of justice, love. Let us then pray. Pray for faith in despair and abandonment. Lord, increase our faith. Give us a strong faith as we pray in Luke chapter 17, verse 5. If we can really have faith and vision, real vision that comes from God, not our own illusions, not our own mere human wishes. If we can dream the dream of God for humankind, we can be empowered to change our world, to collaborate with God in the coming of a new world. Do not forget to subscribe free to this channel.